All right, Cedar Crest Chargers, this is Mr. Wallace again coming at you. So, we're going to solve equations with variables on both sides. This is kind of a wrinkle or the next progression in solving equations. And we cannot solve equations when we have an x on the left and an x on the right. In the end, what we need is x equals blah, 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 or y equals blah, blah, blah. You can't have a y or an x on both sides. So, we just have to do one or two quick moves to simplify these and kind of move them into the form that we can work with. Right now, we can't work with it, but we need to move it into the form that we can work with. So, I've got two different problems. The one on the left is from the example one at the top. It's kind of simplistic, so I added the second one so that you could see, something a little bit more complex. So we're gonna start here. Again, I'm gonna draw this little line through our equal signs so that we can, that we definitely have a visual of where our equal sign is and that there are two sides of the equation. And if you look at this first one, 15 minus 2x equals negative 7x, you could do a lot of things. The problem is that you've got a negative 2x here and a negative 7x here. And we need to change this so that we have an x on one side. Now, you really can't go wrong. I always tell kids, find one of the x terms and get rid of it through an inverse operation. You choose. I would suggest that there is, so you really can't screw this up, but I would say there's a smarter way to start. If we get rid of this one, right, then we would have an x on the right and a number on the left, and that we could actually solve this, okay? So if we decide, and it's our decision, to apply an inverse and get rid of this minus 2x, that would work well. You could decide to get rid of the negative 7x by adding 7x, but what that would give you is an equal 0 over here. And then you'd have to do another move and bring the 15 over here, and it's just a lot more work. So that's probably not the way we want to do it. So what's the inverse of negative 2x plus 2x? Okay, and so we're going to add 2x both sides. So there's one move, all right? This one involves the least amount of work. And so you guys probably know that negative 2x and 2x would make 0. And what it does is it just leaves us with 15 over there. And then we have a negative 7 and a 2. So remember, you have 7 negatives, 2 positives. The 2 positives cancel out 2 of the negatives, leaving you with negative 5x. And so once we've done this move, it changes it to a very simple one-step equation. And again, in equations, our goal is to find the value of x. So we need to remove the coefficient of x, which is negative 5. We need to remove the negative 5 so that x is all by itself. What is the negative 5 doing? What is the action? The negative 5 is multiplying. Some kids get a little confused. They're thinking plus 5. Yeah, no. This is not adding or subtracting. That 5, what is it doing to the x? It is multiplying. The negative 5 is multiplying. So our inverse is to divide by negative 5 both sides. Negative 5. And that will cancel that 5 out, leaving you with x over here. There's our equal sign, and we simply have to figure out what 15 divided by negative 5 is. Well, 15 divided by 5 is 3. So 15 divided by negative 5 is negative 3. All right? And so what we've done is we've taken a problem with variables on both sides, and we have simplified it so that we know that negative 3 equals x. Okay, now we're going to go over to the right-hand side. Now this one is a little different. You'll notice that you have a plus 6 and a negative 1, and that 2.5y and a 4.5y. And whenever I make a move, I'm thinking about, okay, I've got two y terms. I've got that, and I could do two things here. But I never like to have a negative y or a negative x. If I decided to subtract 4.5y both sides, I'd have a negative 2y on the left, and I just don't want to do that. Just a personal preference from years of doing this. So my choice, and again, it's my choice, I'm going to choose to get rid of that. It is positive right now. It's not written that way, but it is a positive 2.5y. And I want to get rid of the whole number. And so the inverse of plus or positive 2.5y is negative 2.5y. So I'm going to subtract 2.5y both sides. That's always the way that we do algebra. This is gone. Say bye-bye. Bye-bye. Bring the 6 down. That's there, right? And then we need to do this math right here. 4.5 minus 2.5 leaves you with 2, or 2y minus 1. So that one move gave us a 2-step equation. You can see that there are 2 steps. And so find the variable. Here it is. It's y. And so we have 2 things happening to it. We're subtracting 1, and we're multiplying by 2. So the inverses, right? The inverses of that, the inverse of minus 1 is plus 1, and the inverse of times 2 is divided by 2. So we're going to add 1 both sides, then we're going to divide 2 by on both sides. Plus 1 and plus 1. Okay? Say bye-bye. That's gone because that cancels out, and we're left with 7 over here, and then we'll bring down the 2y. So 2y equals 7, and then the next thing we're going to do is divide by 2, and that cancels out the 2. So y equals 7 over 2, which happens to be 3.5. So that is how you solve equations with variables on both sides. Peace.